going on, everybody? Welcome to T3G. My name is Harris, and today we're bringing you a review of another case. This time around it is the Cougar Evolution case. As you can see here, we don't have the box because I've actually had this case for a little bit of time, and I wanted to bring my review about it because I do know it's still out on the market. It hasn't been discontinued or anything. Cougar still offers it, and it's a full tower case. Real quick, the way this review is going to go, I'm going to show you guys around the case what it has, and then I'll tell you the good things about it and then the terrible things about it. And let's go ahead and continue on. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the front of the case here. It's a black plastic in the front here, nothing too crazy. You have drives here where you can put in your optical drive. If you can see on the video here, it is my optical drive for this case is actually in the second slot. It's not in the first one, and I'll go into detail why that is a little bit later here. This is a very cheap plastic feel in the front, nothing too crazy, but you know what? I mean, it's a $90 case. I know it's a lot of money, but at the same time, for a $90 case, I don't expect the front, the bezel, all that to be anything fancy or in any amazing quality or anything like that. So it is a plastic up front. It's a black plastic. It's perfectly fine. It can get dusty, but it does what it needs to do. So that part right there is perfectly fine. And then also to show you here at the top, while we're looking at the front, we do have a fan controller for, it's a dual fan controller, so you can set up to 4 fans on each controller. And then this adjusts the speed when you select the controller here. You have 2 USB 2.0 ports, 2 USB 3.0 ports, your audio jack for your headphones and for the microphone. And then right here, you'll see I'm using a rubber band. This is your slot for your hot swap. So they do also offer that as well, and I'll explain a little bit later on why the rubber band's there. So that's for the front. Like I said, nothing too crazy. The front bezel does come off, and I will show that here in a little bit. On the side here, you do have a nice window cut out here, which is nice, especially if you're going to have some fans in there to light up, or maybe just some kind of lighting effect to look at items that you have in there. I do like windows if they're small or take up the whole part, and perfectly fine with me. I do like cases that do offer the window and also as well on the fan on the side, obviously for more airflow, which this one does offer. It doesn't come with a fan on the side already there, but it does come with an option to put a fan there, so that's always nice. That's what's there. On the back here, your standard back, nothing too crazy. It's nothing you haven't seen in other cases. Your I/O shield, it's got 2, 4, 6, 8 slots for PCIe, so you can fit up to 8 items there. It's got some ventilation here on the side for more air. It's got room for 120 or 140 millimeter on the back here. Power supply bottom mounted. You do have a fan, which is awesome to see. Like I said in my previous review of the Nanoxia case, that's something all cases should come with, especially nowadays. And then on the other end, just a plastic, it's metal or aluminum, whatever it is, steel. Side, nothing too fancy, no air ducts, no window. There's no window ever on these sides, but no air ducts, no extra fan you can put over here, which is fine. And then at the top, besides the I/O, the front ports and stuff like that, you do have a top where you get some more air for fans that you're going to have mounted. And that's really about it. Actually, that's about it for the outside. Let's go ahead. Thumb screws for the 2 side cases. Let's go ahead and take off this front one. Since I've been using it, I only have one for right now. It's very easy to take this off. It's not a slide. You just pop it in and push it in, and that's how it comes off, and you just pop it off. Pretty sturdy, honestly, with this plexi window here. It actually is really sturdy, very, very little flex, which is impressive. I do like that, so you do have that. And on the inside, as you can see, like I said, I've been using this case, so here's what it offers. You can technically put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items in the front for 5 1/4. I don't know, besides fan controls, which you already get, but if you want a better one, you can get it. And then of course you have optical drive and maybe a few other accessories you might want to put in the front. And then you have total of 4 drive bays here, which this hard drive bays are removable, and then also as well, they are toolless, but you also have mounts for 2.5 that you can use screws on directly on here. And yeah, that's what we have here for the hard drive bays. And then these for the PCIe slots, these are not toolless. They do have thumb screws with them, which is very nice. Like I said, bottom mounted. You do have an option to put a mount or a fan here at the bottom, but depending on what kind of, if you don't have a modular or semi-modular power supply, that could be an issue. It does fit very long cards. You can fit up to a 12-inch card in here. So if you have an extremely long card, it definitely will fit. You can put fans at the top, 2 fans to the side, 1 in the back and 1 in the bottom. They actually, what's pretty nice about this case, and like I said, I'll go more into detail, but they are toolless fan mounts in here. So you don't have to actually screw the fans to the top or to the front here. They're toolless, so that is pretty nice. Let's see, black painted interior, so obviously that's always nice, and it does have a big CPU cutout, so that's nice as well. So let's go a little bit, that's pretty much what the case is. There's no rubber grommets on the outside for liquid cooling if you want to do on the outside. There's no rubber grommets on the inside, but let's go about what I like about the case. I think the toolless design for the fans for the top and the side is pretty cool, although for the top, if you are looking to put a radiator in there, well, honestly, if you are looking to put a radiator in there, you most likely won't be able to, because the clearance room between where the motherboard sits here and the fan sits here right now, virtually none. So if you had a radiator and then put a fan, you would literally be hitting your CPU cooler. So that won't work. That's one of the negatives about it. But if you're just using fans to air cool, you clearly can put 2 fans up here, 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fans up here, and you'll have air cooling. In the back, once again, it did include this fan, really nice Cougar fan. They work good. It's 100, I believe the one that's in here is the 120 mil. So, and it works and it's perfectly fine. And then in the front you have a 140 or 120 mil. I'm not sure, I'll have to double check that for you. And I do like the toolless design on these. They're not bad, it works the way it needs to work. These are just removable on the side. You put the drive in and then you pop those in. And that's how that works. It's nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. You can take them out and use screws instead, which definitely will work for you if that's something you would require. They're plastic, so they do bend. They are plastic. They might over time become brittle and break. They still have them for me. I've had this case for about 2 years now, close to 2 years. So it's still working fine, but it is what it is. What's nice about this is removable for the hard drive base, so that's always a bonus if you want to maybe add a cooler down here. That could be an option. And what's nice is in here, there's actually right where the 5 1/4 bays are going to go, there's another fan you can fit in the front. Only one comes in the front here. You can put one more. It is a toolless design, so you can just pop a fan in and you're ready to go. It'll blow air directly in, so there's plenty of airflow coming from that way into the case. This is of course exhaust, and then you can set these up as exhaust as well. Another nice thing, definitely gives you a nice black interior, so I personally enjoy that. I think all cases should have a painted interior, no more aluminum stuff. That needs to go. If you're creating a case nowadays, make sure it has a painted interior. If it's white, black, whatever the scheme is, that is what it should be. Toolless design, which actually this toolless design works really well. It's really nice. It plugs it in real good. So that is another nice thing. The 2 fans that are included are nice. I know the Cougar fans are pretty decent. So they are nice. They still work. They blow definitely plenty of air. Okay, so overall, that's basically the nice one, the nice hot swap up here. That is nice to have, but here come the negatives. Well, there's quite a few of them. Let's go in the front first. This one here, these plastic, what do you want to call it, grills, grommets, whatever they are. They actually, I had to fix mine, but if you just nudge on it a little bit, normally it'll actually push this plastic in, and then you'll have to reach from the inside to fix it, so that way it's staying flush with the outside and doesn't look like somebody like bashed it in. So that is a negative. Also as well, if you have, like for instance, the motherboard I'm using, this is a very basic build for me. This is something we just use within the home just to kind of browse the net and stuff like that. So originally I was going to have, with this motherboard, I was going to have an old crappy optical drive that uses, what is it, ID, right? ID? Yeah, I can't remember now. But it won't fit those size optical drives. They're too long for this bezel here in the front, so they're too wide. So you actually have to use a new standard one with a serial ATA. So you would, if you're somebody that's just looking to upgrade their case and is like, oh, I have all these stuff, but I just want a newer case, and you're like, oh, this Cougar seems real nice. Well, just so you know, if you're using an older style optical drive, they will be too wide or too long, however you want to look at it, and it won't fit in here. So you have to use a newer serial ATA design optical drive because they're thinner on the sides, which then will allow them to slide correctly in here, and this bezel won't get in the way. So that's one negative. And the other negative, like I said, so two negatives. The other negative is if I didn't fix them on my own, these would just pretty much, if you push on them even a little bit, they'll pop in and it just looks terrible. So that's another negative there. The third negative that we have is at the top. So the hot drive, or the hot swap drive here, it's awesome, right? But why do I have a rubber band? Well, because even though I only have 3 fans in here, it vibrates so much to the point where it literally makes this do that the entire time. And you can hear it the whole time the computer is on, and it's annoying, so I put the rubber band there to prevent it from making that sound for us, so that way it is a quiet case. So if they redo the design in this case, one thing, get rid of that door. It can be an open design for the hot swap. You don't need that door there because it does get annoying unless they can fix that issue on its own. The other problem with this cab, of course I mentioned it before, is at the top you will not be able to fit a radiator. It's not going to happen. You can't put one out there because you can barely have enough clearance with just the fans up here. I have only one fan up here with the toolless design, and that barely clears the RAM here. So if you're looking to do a radiator setup, you might have to remove the hard drive base to have it coming from the front, or you might, I haven't even tried it, but I don't even think you can put like an H80 or H70 here on the side without it getting in the way. So this definitely isn't a case for liquid coolers. If you're looking to liquid cool, do not get this case. Other problem we have is on the back. This is absolutely terrible. They say this is a full tower case. Maybe if you look at the dimensions of it, you know, the length, the height, the width, it might sound like it's a full tower case. This is not a full tower case. This is the worst design for cable management that I've ever seen. The back here literally has no clearance. The only reason that you might have any kind of clearance for wire management in the back is because this back here is indented. So that's the only, and it's only this part here. So anything here, obviously there's a little room here because of this is where the hard drives and everything goes. So there's going to be a little room here. But this is all the indentation you get for wiring clearance in the back. So if you're like me where you route your wires to the back, this is all you have for clearance. And as you can see, I'm taking this off right now. That popped a little bit because there is pressure from wires. And that's kind of what it looks like. I've had to route everything there and try my hardest. As you can see, this is already sticking out where it's gonna sit over here flush. So there's not even a half an inch clearance, not even a quarter-inch clearance in the back here to put wiring. So if you're like me and you like to wire manage, this is a terrible case to get for. It is absolutely disappointing that a full tower case at $90 price range does not have better clearance in the back for wire management. Absolutely disappointing. If I was anybody that was purchasing this case, I would definitely go with something else. It might look good on paper, but this is definitely terrible when it comes down to wire management. The other item that I have a really big problem with is, once again, with this USB cable, or not USB cables, USB ports that are at the top with the audio jacks and the hot swap. You can take off the front here. It's a little tough, but you can't come off. And then once it's off, you'll see here the toolless design for the 2 fans, and it is filtered, so you can get that taken off here. Let's see if it will actually work without breaking. So there we go. So that's the filter. You can take it off. It's a little dusty on my end. I just actually cleaned it up a few weeks ago. But I have few dogs, so they're gonna make that as dusty as possible. But as you can see why here, why I hate the top here, because these wires, when you originally get this case, they're not even routed this way. They actually sit right in here and they come directly towards the motherboard. So when you receive this case, when you purchase it, these wires literally sit on top. You cannot fit an optical drive up here, even if you yourself take the time to route them to the side. As you can see here, they literally take up the space for this first optical spot. So that is one of the worst designs I've ever seen for a case, period. The options up here, phenomenal. The fact that the wires are literally in the way of that first optical drive, terrible. It needs to be redesigned completely. You're not going to be, it's up to you if you want the extra fan down here, or you can remove this. There are screws here to remove this off and use it for the optical slots for the 5 1/4. But there's no point. I mean, even if you are looking for a better fan controller than the one that's up here, you can use the one that's underneath the optical drive. And then if you don't need an optical drive, you have the two here. Of course, you don't have the top one because the wires are definitely taking up that spot. I routed these wires to the right myself, so I had a little better cable management. But that's what you're gonna get. So you got 2 optical drives. If you remove this, you have 3 more, so you have 5 total. You don't have that 6th one at the top. No way. It doesn't matter how you route those wires. You do not have it unless you cut them off. If you don't want to use the top front ports, you can cut those off. I've seen people do that, but personally, I like having the option in the front. So with this design, that is absolutely terrible. Once again, I do like the toolless design of the fans where you can just pop them in and ready to go. That is awesome, but you know, honestly, that doesn't change the fact how many disappointing parts this has. Terrible room clearance for the wires in the back. Terrible design for the wires that come from the top ports. Terrible design just in general for a full tower case that they claim this is at a $90 price range. It is not worth it. This, in my opinion, is maybe a $60 case, and it should be rebranded as a mid-tower case, if anything. I've seen mid-tower cases that have better clearance. They have better management for cable on the back. They actually are able to fit radiators at the top. If you are going to spend $90, I would not recommend this. That is, ladies and gentlemen, my review for this case. Is there some nice features about it? Absolutely. I mean, you know, you get the 5 hard drive bays. That's not a lot, but if you're not somebody that's going to have a bunch of hard drives, you're perfectly fine with that. You know, the toolless fans, those are great. The black interior, that's nice. That's it. I mean, that's for and yes, do you have the hot swap at the top? Sure, absolutely. But the negative that hot swap brings with the wiring that's here, the USB ports that are up here that brings the wiring here, it's a terrible design. I really hope, when I saw this case, when I picked it up, I had a lot of hope for it. I was disappointed. Like I said, this front bezel, these tabs here that hold the plastic here in the slot, they are so loose that if I push on this, I fixed it by bending them back, but if you push on this and you're having the same issue that I was having, these will just easily push in, and then you have to just keep going from the inside to fix it, and it's very annoying. So I hope they redesign this case for the better. At a $90 price range, this definitely needs to be a better case. You know, Cougar, I know they can be a great company. They have a bunch of great products out there. This Evolution case is disappointing. Now, this is the standard Cougar Evolution. I know there's another Evolution case that they have out there, but this particular one, unfortunately, the standard Cougar Evolution Black Edition, is just, in my opinion, like I said, for the $90 price range, go with something else. Corsair offers for another $10, $20 more, or actually you can even get it for the $90 if you just wait for the sale prices. I believe it's the 500D or the 600D, which is an amazing mid-tower case. So final review, some good features, filters, fan filters that are included, the toolless fans, ports, some of the fans that are included, the fact that it's a painted interior, all that's great, but the negatives just outweigh the positives. So my final review is If you have many dollars, spend it on something else. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the review, and we'll see you next time.